3 reasons Carl Winslow and Steve Urkel were inseparable. Who can't relate to having an annoying neighbor? Getting off work after a long day, it doesn't help to be forced to see them almost as excited to see you as the family dog. The relationship between Carl Winslow and Steve Urkel was the comedic engine of Family Matters. Often a source of exasperation for Carl, Steve's presence proved surprisingly beneficial and eventually essential for the gruff police officer. While Carl frequently bellowed, "Go home, Steve," a closer look reveals 3 key reasons why, despite the chaos, Carl and Steve were genuinely inseparable. Carl lacked patience. Urkel lacked a sense of belonging. Carl, with his by-the-book police training, often had a short fuse, especially when it came to Steve's antics. Steve, on the other hand, constantly yearned for acceptance and a sense of belonging within the Winslow family, often feeling like an outsider despite his persistent efforts. This dynamic created a unique push and pull where Carl was forced to develop more patience, and Steve, through his unwavering presence, slowly but surely became an undeniable part of the family. We see this play out in the episode Psycho Twins. Urkel's constant need for Carl's approval and companionship, even when it led to trouble, forced Carl to confront his own rigid views and sometimes even embrace a little bit of chaos. This interaction, while frustrating for Carl, ultimately helped Urkel feel more accepted and cemented his place in the Winslow household. Carl couldn't always reach Eddie. Urkel helped show him the way. Carl, as a father, often struggled to effectively communicate with his son, Eddie, especially when Eddie was navigating the challenges of adolescence. Steve, despite being Eddie's peer and often his rival for Laura's affection, sometimes found a way to get through to Eddie where Carl couldn't. This dynamic is perfectly illustrated in the episode Dr. Urkel and Mr. Cool. When Eddie starts to neglect his responsibilities and studies in pursuit of coolness, Carl's attempts to intervene often fall flat. However, Steve, by experiencing the negative consequences of his own attempts to change his personality, inadvertently shows Eddie the importance of being true to himself and making responsible choices. Steve's experiences, though sometimes comical, served as a valuable and sometimes more relatable lesson for Eddie. Over many seasons, we watched Carl and Steve laugh, cry, and everything in between. One thing that never changed is their bond and the clear reasons why they needed each other. From the moment Steve Urkel burst onto the scene, his unique brand of nerdy enthusiasm and accidental destruction tested Carl's already thin patience. Yet, Steve, an often only child, often left to his own devices, yearned for a warmth and acceptance of a family. The Winslows, despite their initial reluctance, became the surrogate family. Steve gave Carl opportunities to be a better father. Speaking of that lack of patience, for Carl this coexisted with his stern and sometimes strict nature as a parent that ultimately made him a great father. On the other hand, Steve was continuing to create reasons for the Winslows to keep him around. Helping Eddie was one thing, but helping Carl to become a better father is the epitome of their give-and-take relationship. In the episode Robo Nerd, we see how Urkel's invention of the Urkelbot was well-intentioned to win Laura a computer.
Steve, how do you cut him off? You can't. He's out of control.
Eventually, the robot goes rogue, much like Carl is, in the way he's being viewed by his wife and Harriet for hurting his mother's feelings by disapproving in her relationship. And then stress from helping Eddie with this project only makes Carl more defensive until Urkel's robot goes crazy, giving Carl the clarity he needed. And much like the robot, Carl has good intentions for his mother, and seeing the difference in that versus the chaos of the robot allows Carl to open up and be a better father toward Eddie, and more loving toward his own mother. And despite that robot nearly taking Laura for himself, together Carl and Steve put a stop to it. While comedic and questionable as how you arrive at the lesson, it's clear that they needed one another to grow, to love, and they needed each other as friends.